on your mock draft, you do have Haskins going to the Giants at 6, Drew Lock going to the Broncos at 10, and Jones to the Redskins at 15. Again, that's where one of them might pop up somehow and take Rosen there, because that trade's going to have to be announced almost hand in hand with the drafting of Murray, so the Cardinals can use a draft choice in short order. And then I'm seeing on your mock draft, you've got Ed Oliver going to the Packers at 12th overall. I think the Packers and all their fans will hit their knees every night between now and the first night of the draft that you are right there. I'm hearing Oliver is top 5 potentially because of how much people love him and comp him with Aaron Donald. Why do you have Oliver falling to 12? What are you hearing?
Yeah, just that, he kind of gets stuck with that tweener label. I love him as well. He's a top 6 player on my rankings. I think we're overthinking him a little bit because he got hurt this past year and didn't have great production, but he was one of the few players, like we hear, like, oh, he was double teamed. Ed Oliver was legitimately double teamed. At times he was triple teamed and had to play nose tackle at Houston because they needed him to play and plug the middle of that line. So I wouldn't be shocked, Rich, if he goes 4 to Oakland. But I think there's also a lot of conversation about players like Rashawn Gary. Where does Quentin Williams go? Where does Devin White go? And unfortunately, when you have a lot of good players in that same kind of tier, someone has to fall. And I think when I wrote the mock draft, that might have been 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was at the point where, like, Ed Oliver looks like the guy who could be dropping a little bit at that time. He's a great athlete. I don't see the Aaron Donald comp. I think he's more of like a Gerald McCoy or a Geno Atkins, who are still really good players. And he should be. He should be a top 10 pick. But someone has to fall, especially if we see a run on quarterbacks, like you said, if Drew Lock goes 10 and Dwayne Haskins goes 6, which even now that's starting to look a little outdated. But if that happens, some good players are going to have to fall there.
What's the wildest rumor you've heard to date, Matt?
Well, I thought, Kyler Murray rumor seemed wild a month back. I think right now probably the craziest talk is that Drew Lock from Missouri could be a top 5 pick at quarterback, and it could be the second one drafted. So ahead of Dwayne Haskins, who I think a lot of folks have felt like, he is going to be the number 2 quarterback off the board and maybe even, compete with Murray for a true number 1 grade. But I think there's a lot of like for Drew Lock because he had a great Senior Bowl process. He's a 3-year starter at Missouri, so maybe a little more pro-ready than someone like Haskins, who was just a 1-year starter at Ohio State and didn't play in, not quite an NFL-style system. So Drew Lock moving up right now is probably the most exciting rumor that there is. It's kind of a dead period right now with teams being in draft meetings. Guys don't have a lot of time to, hop on the phone and chit-chat about the draft.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.